Have you ever felt like a background character in your own movie? Like the days are just happening to you, playing out from a script you never agreed to? This isn't a story about winning the lottery or some fairy tale miracle. This is about a guy named Ben and the quiet Tuesday evening he decided to pick up the pen and rewrite his entire story. Meet Ben. If Ben's life were a color, it'd be gray. The muted gray of his cubicle, the washed-out gray of the city through his smudged apartment window, the hazy gray of the TV that was his only dinner companion. Ben's routine was a silent, steady rhythm of monotony. Alarm, work, microwave meal, sleep. Repeat. He wasn't miserable, not really. He was just numb. A zero. He drifted through his days with a deep sense of passivity, watching his life as if it were happening to someone else. He'd see friends on social media getting married, climbing mountains, launching businesses. They were the heroes. Ben? He was the guy blurred in the background, totally out of focus. He was stuck in a life he didn't remember choosing, and the weight of it all was heavier than any one big tragedy. He'd accepted this story, being the side character, because it was just easier than admitting he was the one who'd stopped writing. The evening that changed everything started out just like any other. Rain tapped a lazy bead on his window. The leftovers of a bland stir-fry sat on the coffee table. Ben was just scrolling, flipping through channels, killing time until he could go to bed and start the gray all over again. And then, he stopped. It was a documentary about an underdog athlete. The film was gritty, not polished at all. It showed the athlete failing again and again. It showed the doubt, the pain, the urge to just quit. Ben was mesmerized. But it wasn't the final trophy or the cheering crowd that got to him. It was a quiet moment in a dim gym. The athlete, bruised and exhausted, simply chose to get up and try one more time. That was it. That was the spark. A thought so sharp and clear it cut right through the fog in his head. The victory wasn't the point. The decision to fight for it was. For the first time in years, Ben wasn't just watching, he was seeing. He saw his own passivity, his own quiet surrender. The athlete's story wasn't about becoming a champion, it was about refusing to be a victim of his circumstances. A question bloomed in his mind, one he hadn't let himself ask in a decade. What if I just tried? In that instant, the remote fell from his hand. The TV's hum faded away. Even the rain outside seemed to hold its breath. This was it. This was the call to adventure, not from some roaring dragon, but from a whisper inside his own soul. The choice was made. He was done just watching. The old Ben would have brushed it off, called it a weird mood, and gone to bed. But tonight, a new energy was crackling inside him. It was both terrifying and thrilling. He'd made a choice, but now what? The road from zero to hero isn't one giant leap. It's a bunch of small, deliberate, and sometimes clumsy steps. His first challenge wasn't climbing a mountain, it was tackling the mess in his own living room. He looked around and saw his life in the clutter. Junk mail, running shoes still new in their box, a guitar gathering dust, ghosts of good intentions. He walked over to a bookshelf and pulled out a dusty notebook. He opened it to a fresh, blank page. It was intimidating. The voice of doubt, his oldest friend, started whispering, "What are you doing? Writing in a diary? It's pointless. Nothing's going to change." This is the real fight when you rewrite your story. It's a battle against the narrative you've been telling yourself for years. Psychologists call this our narrative identity, the story we tell ourselves about who we are, woven from our past, present, and what we imagine for the future. For years, Ben's story was all about his limits, but tonight he decided to write a new one. He started with one small, concrete act. He would write a single page. Not some grand plan, but a description of the man he wanted to become. His hand shook a little as he started. He didn't write about a fancy car or a big shot job. He wrote about simple things. A man who wakes up feeling ready for the day. A man who plays his guitar, even badly, just for the fun of it. A man who walks in the rain because he wants to feel it. Every sentence was an act of defiance against the gray. It was a small win, but a win nonetheless. That tiny action sent a ripple through him. His eyes landed on the running shoes. The old story said, you'll use them once and quit. The new one asked, what's one tiny thing you can do right now? He didn't put them on and go for a midnight run. The The goal wasn't a marathon, it was momentum. He simply took the shoes out of the box and set them by the front door. A promise. An appointment with a new chapter. Next, the guitar. He picked it up. He didn't know how to play, but he held it. Feeling the smooth wood, he strummed a clumsy, awful-sounding chord. The old Ben would have cringed. The new Ben just smiled. It was an ugly sound, but it was his sound. It was proof of action. This is the secret: consistency over perfection. It's all these tiny acts added up that change everything. As the night ended, Ben wasn't a new man. He hadn't magically learned guitar or fixed all his problems. He was still Ben. But something huge had shifted. The air in the apartment felt lighter. The gray was pulling back, replaced by the warm glow of a single lamp on a page of his own handwriting. He stood up and looked in the mirror. He didn't see a hero from a movie. He saw his own tired eyes, but for the first time, there was a flicker of light in them. The light of agency. The hero didn't show up after some great victory. The hero showed up the moment he took responsibility for the story. He wasn't a zero anymore, because a zero is nothing. He was on day one. His heroism wasn't a cape or a superpower. It was the quiet, powerful realization that he was the author. He understood that change doesn't always come like a thunderstorm. Sometimes it's a gentle rain, slowly washing away the old to make way for the new. The climax of his night wasn't some big event, but a deep, internal sigh of relief. The relief of finally coming home to himself. He had chosen to be vulnerable enough to try, to own his story, flaws and all. And in that, he found a strength he never knew he had. Ben's story is a mirror. We all have a story we tell ourselves about who we are. So, let me ask you, is your story serving you? Is it the one you actually want to live? You don't have to wait for a random documentary to be your spark. You can create it right now. Think of one small, almost ridiculously easy thing you can do today to start rewriting your story. Maybe it's just putting your running shoes by the door. Maybe it's writing one sentence. Maybe it's just looking in the mirror and deciding to be on your own team. Whatever it is, share it in the comments below. Let's make this a community of authors. Declare your day one action. Let's hold each other to it. The journey from zero to hero is almost never about one big flashy event. It's about a single decision, followed by a lot of small, brave steps. We see this pattern in the most inspiring stories. We saw it in Michael Jordan, who used the sting of being cut from his high school team as the fuel for his entire legendary career. We saw it in Oprah Winfrey, who decided her past of poverty and pain would be a source of strength, not a life sentence. Their huge journeys, just like Ben's quiet revolution, started with one moment of choice. They decided to change their story. Lasting change is a product of daily habits, not a once-in-a-lifetime event. The most powerful lesson from Ben's night is this: you are, and always have been, the author of your life. The pen is in your hand. The pages are blank. The past is just a rough draft, and you can edit its meaning whenever you want. Real heroism isn't about being perfect or fearless. It's about having the guts to write the next sentence, even when you have no idea what it's going to be. Your story is waiting. Choose to write it.